minutes. So you guys are missing out because you're not here in the first 15 minutes before this meeting starts. Hi, Bill. See you there too. Good morning and welcome. This is the San Carlos Computer Club, and I'm Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions. And we had started our discussion with Fred's Pico Pi. Hey, Fred, can you show that on camera again so other people can see what you've got to play with? And this is a full system with screen that's intended for training.
Where am I?
I kind of see you. Let me. Can I put you front and center in our display here? I'm gonna pin you for everyone. Oh, and turn off this warning message. I think that's as big as you get. So you can see that is a little smaller than a phone. Hey, and what did that? Hey, do you mind me asking? What did you pay for that?
I think the piece with the screen on it was something like $40, and the Pico itself was around 20.
You know the irony of this is this California regulation law that is affecting our entire industry, that they have to keep software support in the market for a product at least 7 years if the product's over $100. Now Raspberry Pi is an open source. I mean, there's all kinds of information out there, so there's no chance you're gonna lose support for your device. But it is funny that it is cheap enough that it doesn't qualify for California's law.
Well, it's also open source, so you can update it yourself.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about, the information's never going to disappear because there's another copy of it in a dozen different places. And it's all built to stand, whether it's a Pico Pi or it's a Pi made by some knockoff, no-name organization, all of it's based on open source documentation and code. I just find it funny that I essentially what that means in California, according to their law, is that what you have in your hand is cheap enough that if it was made by any particular vendor, they wouldn't necessarily have to offer you that kind of right to repair protections. Good morning, Mom. We're already deep in discussion. We were just talking about Fred's Pico Pi, which is a platform for teaching how to build hardware software solutions. In the case of Fred's, it's got a small Raspberry Pi computer and a small display on it, which lends itself to single purpose projects. Well, Fred, I hope you come up with something interesting to share with us later using that device.
Well, I'm looking forward to, when you get on a cruise ship, unless you want to pay $25 a day for internet, or,
this
place
is
to go to all day.
This is what you'll do in your off time on the cruise ship?
Yep, that's what I'm planning for.
Well, that's very interesting. I do think that, like we were saying when Dave jumped on, that this Raspberry Pi platform might end up being the shim in this time period where RAM and CPU prices have just gone astronomical. Every day I hear another story of RAM going from $50 to $500. It's pretty crazy. If you needed a desktop computer right now, you're really getting eaten.
Well, the Raspberry 5 2 years ago was $80. It's now around $250 to $300 for the same product.
Yeah, you're saying it was 80 and now it's more than twice that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only thing that would make it not suffer from the same problem, I mean, it's definitely suffering from the same problem, but it would be interest. I think there's a lot less interest in Raspberry Pi as there is in your standard PC desktops and laptops, or Macintosh laptops and desktops. And so the interest isn't there to jack up the price. I think the interest I think it may end up getting even more expensive, because $200 or $250 for a platform that could act as a desktop right now is a very reasonable price. People might start flocking to that equipment. It beats $1,200, that's for sure.
I think I saw some articles about 3 or 4 months ago about a very similar product to Raspberry Pi, but by a different manufacturer, at significantly lower prices than even a Raspberry Pi.
Well, and we've seen so many form factors you can stick your Pi in. I've seen keyboards that you can just stick your Pi in and connect it to a monitor, and you've got a full computer in the keyboard.
Take a look.
That's one of the advantages of Raspberry Pi. There's so many plugins.
Yeah, it's not hard to imagine that there would be a laptop framework that you could drop your Pi into. Yeah, Fred, I'm sorry, you were going to add something?
Take a look at the Raspberry Pi P400 or the P500.
I'm Googling it as we speak. Pi P400. Oh, this is one of those keyboards, right?
Yeah.
Let me bring some images up. Look at that. $100. 64-bit processor. 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is plenty for a Linux-based operating system. Oh, and it supports OpenGL graphics, so you have a fully graphics operating system, windowing operating system, for $90. Yeah, it's hard to imagine that people won't end up going to stuff like this if prices don't change.
Well, you've got everything with you, basically anyway. We add a power supply. It comes with a mouse, so you've already got that. All you need to do is plug it into your house TV, and you've got everything you need.
Yeah. Look at this. It says out of stock. This is at Walmart.
Yeah. Look on Amazon.
Yeah, yeah.
Last time I checked, it was.
Now, so I try eBay. $50 on eBay. I don't. This seems like a really economical version to stay in the current. You're not jumping into the future. Like, you're not running AIs on this stuff. Oh, here comes Richard. Good morning, Richard. We've been filling the beginning of this conversation with Raspberry Pi stuff. And look at that. You can get it $50 on eBay. It says it's new. And like you said, Fred, plug it into a monitor you already have, like a TV. It's already got a keyboard and mouse and a windowing operating system, and now you have a desktop computer. I imagine there's going to be a percentage of the market that just floods to this kind of device when they see how expensive things have gotten for technology.
Well, I've got one of those, and I have a 450 gigabyte solid state drive I plug into it.
Yeah.
So I've got memory coming out my wazoo.
Yeah, and as long as you're sticking within its capabilities, which most people are, because it's more power than most people are taking advantage of. It seems like a real decent alternative. It'll be interesting to see if these devices, I can imagine people buy these kinds of devices, hobbyists, just to play around with, and then they stick them out on eBay. I wonder if we're going to start watching used prices raise for these kinds of devices alongside the market.
I got another place for you to look at something.
Oh, okay.
It's magpie dot raspberrypi.com.
Magpie. Say that again. Magpie dot what?
Raspberry Pi.
Raspberry Pi. Magpie Raspberry Pi. Oh, damn it. Probably just boiled off a couple gallons of fresh water because I accidentally hit the AI button.
Anyway,
this is the magazine? Is that right?
Yeah. The thing about the magazine is you can subscribe to it. And what they do is 30 days after the magazine originally comes out to all the subscribers, they give it away for free. So you can sit and download magazines back. They're on issue number 163, I think, or something like that. And you could go back and all kinds of stuff in there.
Okay. So what you're saying is that after the magazine has come out for a month, then it's available for free.
Yes. It's free download.
I don't know if I'm in what you're talking about. I'm just browsing all over this site. But, okay, so it's called Magpie Raspberry Pi.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're noticing on my screen, I'm also trying to work with vertical tabs today. I decided to turn them on and see if I found them useful. And so I'm a little discombobulated because I'm used to seeing my searches pop up here in this bar. And my tabs are popping up vertically over here, stacked. I don't know if you see my screen. And so I'm just, a little bit of my muscle memory is a little off today because I need to look for them in different places. Magpie Magazine. Magpie Archives. This must be what we're talking about. Necessary cookies only. Why even ask? Well, Brad, I'm not sure if I'm actually finding it or not. I'm finding a lot of stuff. But I'm not sure I'm finding the magazine that you're referring to.
Well, wait, go back up.
Yeah, you see it there? The Magpie Hackspace?
That's the magazine.
Okay, let me go to this issue and see where this takes me. Free PDF download. Oh, great. So now, where is the index of this stuff?
Well.
Oh, issues. I'm an idiot. There's an issue out now. Back. This is what we're looking for right here. Magazine.raspberrypi.com/issues. And I'm going to just stick that in here. So we've got some reference to it. I'll clean it up later, but I don't want to lose it.
Yeah, and it comes with at least I can get to a place where I can either do C, Python, or I think there's Linux available for it also.
What's that? Sorry, Fred.
I can, what I'm putting it on for is so I can learn Python, but I can do C or Linux or Python.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, well, there should be open source distributions of any of the languages you might use.
Is COBOL or Fortran available?
I do know there's an open source version of Fortran. I don't know if there's one for COBOL. Source COBOL. You'd think there would have to be. Oh yeah, there is a GNU COBOL project out there.
Well, there's a lot of COBOL programs in COBOL that people are trying to get updated.
Yeah.
They're still using.
You know, it'll be interesting to see what happens with AI and COBOL, since there's still so much COBOL in the banking world.
There's a huge job market for COBOL programmers to update all that old software that they haven't touched in years.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and that stuff is so brittle, they just keep making the problem worse by not dealing with it sooner. when you hear this call for COBOL programmers and all these people show up that are in their 60s, they may have waited a little too long to transition to another language.
Well, that was one of the languages I learned when I was in school.
Ah, me too. Yeah.
And that was, God, when was that? Long time ago.
I couldn't get my degree from the School of Business. I'm sorry, Dave, go ahead.
In 1961, I was taught COBOL.
Oh, wow. So it's 1961. That's how long this language, just to give you an idea, I was still learning it in 1991, 92. I graduated university in 96. And it was a requirement for my degree in MIS, Business Computer Information Systems, to have at least 5 credits of COBOL, 2 semesters of COBOL. No, I'm sorry, 10 credits of COBOL. Because
Fortran was more popular then, and other things like autocorder. And I'm trying to think of a name, another one that basically optimized each instruction because the instructions were stored on the disk. And so in properly placing your instructions, it had to figure out how long the instruction was going to take to execute, to determine where to place the next instruction on the disk rather than sequentially.
When you were going to school, did you use the punch cards at all?
Me?
In school, no. I went to Iowa State, had a copy of the University of Illinois ILIAC computer, a 1K memory, paper tape output.
Oh.
If it couldn't divide 15 by 16 that day, we stuck a wire in it and slowed it down by about 2/3 to make it run.
Yeah, when I was working on computers, they were capable of paper tape, or we used to take a cassette tape player and put programs on it. And that's how we sit there and put troubleshooting programs into it.
Well, you just described my TRS-80 color computer. I had a cassette to save my programs on. COBOL was still being taught in the 90s and being required for my device, for my degree. And when I entered that program, I had just done a year of Pascal in Australia. And you guys that have done COBOL probably remember that there was like 2 pages of header information that needed to be provided before you could even start writing the program. So that was so frustrating to my generation to deal with. I wrote a Pascal program that would lay out headers for reports. And so you would space out your headers. You'd write all the header columns, and you'd space out where they would fall on a report. Remember, this is before we were dealing with graphic interfaces. This was all printed out reports, and it would generate all the COBOL code to create those headers so that we didn't have to do it. COBOL was a monster. Nobody liked learning it. Well, in the School of Business, you said Fortran was more popular in your day at the time, but the only reason it was still being taught
in general, so obviously Fortran was being used by all the universities.
Yeah. Well, and researchers
in their computer stuff.
Fortran's a language that is more ideal for like scientific researchers or engineers. The COBOL is a business language, and that's why they still in the 90s was requiring it for our degree.
Yeah. Well, the basic difference is that Fortran is almost always all floating point numerical stuff, and it's optimized for that. And typically they'll use words for storage rather than bits or bytes or characters or whatever. COBOL is the opposite. It's, numeric storage, the integers. And so businesses like COBOL because it adds 1 and 1 gets 2. Where Fortran, you might do something like that. It'll come out 1.99999 to the X point, something.
Well,
so
that's some very significant background framework, but I think one of the big reasons that COBOL was popular, at least what they taught us in business, is because a manager could grab it and read what you were writing.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. In Fortran, you grab a Fortran program, and you might be an expert in Fortran. You don't know what it says. You need to plot it out to figure out what it's going to do because it's so cryptic. But it fits in a really nice small memory footprint.
The language that was really neat that I had lots of experience in is PLAN, P-L-A-N, problem language interlaced.
I'm not familiar with that.
By IBM as an internal language, but we would ship out programs that were mathematical, like Spring Design, and give them away, and they were written in PLAN, which is basically built on top of Fortran and other thing, but it basically is a language that interpreted using the first 3 or 4 letters of a word into what to do, and it would build things like program stacks of what to dynamically load next to do the next operation. And that stack could be modified on the fly. So you wrote very little tiny things and linked them all together dynamically. That execution. Very powerful.
Yeah, that sounds like the beginning of object-oriented programming.
It was very much so, and it was implemented on the small scientific machine of an 1130, as well as the large mainframes under both DOS and the OS operating systems, and no job control on any one of them.
I know we need to get out of this discussion of programming languages because other people here do not have this background. But I since we're mentioning favorite languages, just to note, my first programming language was BASIC, and the first formally taught programming language I learned in school was Fortran.
Most people.
And then one of my favorite languages was one of the first ones I learned when I entered my degree program. Was a language called Focus.
Well, back to a language. Something that's a little more on topic.
Well, wait, Dave, let me finish this because you'll appreciate this. When they introduced Focus to our group, the way they did it is the instructor came out and unsheathed 5 pages of COBOL, right? Printed out, hold it up for the whole class to see, and then they held out a half a sheet of Focus and said, "This does the same thing." Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wanted to share that story.
Okay. Does the California law become relevant for any other state, or does it just say you can't sell this product in California?
So the way California has been acting kind of as our own European Union is because it's like the size of a country itself. It's like 20 million people.
Yeah.
And so when they set a consumer protection law, it inadvertently affects everybody in the United States because businesses businesses don't want to spend the money to have alternate products in different places. It's say that again, Dave?
What I'm thinking of where it's relevant to me is the Tableau device, which I love because it allows your local TV in my case Denver, to be accessible easily through the internet in Mexico. Well, they dropped support of it starting the first of next month. It's as long as the software still works, supposedly it exists, but they took away the download of it and basically said, we aren't supporting it.
Is this tableautv.com?
Yep.
And explain again what's going on. You have this is a device?
That's their newer device.
Okay.
Their older device had the capability of remote. One does not.
Watch, pause, and record 125 plus live broadcasts and streaming TV channels on every compatible screen in your home.
Let me tell you what mine does.
Yeah, please.
Mine has 4 processors. It's basically has the same, all the streaming capability of that. It basically takes my cable coming from the local TV feed antenna, broadcasts it wirelessly throughout my house, and then also allows you to pick up that same signal remotely from other sites anywhere in the world.
And what you're saying is what they've changed now is your ability to stream it to yourself wherever you are on the internet.
They no longer have it on their newer device, and they took away the support on the older device.
That's interesting. I wonder if that happened because of regulations in certain areas. Because I don't know of any kind of protection in that regards in California for specifically what you're doing. But if they've got deals with all these different, I mean, just Fox, you think about these organizations, then they're going to put pressure on them to have control over how it's used.
Well, that's just the recording side. The rebroadcasting is what makes the device so powerful. And even locally at home.
Dave, I got to ask you, have you figured out how to do it outside of them giving you support on it?
I haven't found a good alternative, but
basically, I could imagine you could,
as long as it's already got it configured.
I was going to ask whether it's possible to put it on a Raspberry Pi.
Well, what I was going to suggest, and I know this doesn't address the issue of they have stopped supporting remote streaming, but to get around that, I would imagine this kind of device, you could have your own personal VPN on your local area network, VPN into it, and act as though you're there locally, and it would probably work.
The way it works right now, there's software on both the PC, there's on my Fire Sticks, there's on my phone. So it's pretty easy to, continue using as is. Now, yes, I might have to, and I had talked about doing the VPN solution myself and gotten started with it, but the problem was remote maintenance.
Yeah. No, you really are taking a lot of, they're basically dumping it on you if you want to use it like that, because when they offer support for it, they just take a whole bunch of responsibility away from you.
They're taking the software off a download sites also, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's it. I would keep an eye on it because I bet it's in violation of something. Or they've had to rejigger their entire product strategy to meet with something.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's frustrating, I mean, I praise California for some of the things they've done as far as these consumer protections. But you can, just like the one I've been talking about, John Deere got a carve out. Oh, yeah, this huge manufacturer worth billions of dollars was able to lobby and influence the law so that they're not required to follow the right to repair laws they've put together. They're one of the few manufacturers that doesn't have to.
This scenario also prompted me to one other question. Do you know of any site that basically allows downloads of old PC software that was even in DOS? I've lost the software to something. I've got the data file. I'm pretty sure.
Well, have you tried the Internet Archive? If
I
it's
think so.
if the software's in the public domain, they typically have a copy of it. If it's proprietary, and that's one of my Bill of Digital Rights issues, is if it's proprietary and it's been orphaned, it should be put in the public domain.
Right.
We should require that from our community. We should require that as a standard. If you're just going to abandon this stuff, then you should abandon it with everything so somebody else can pick it up and use it.
Yeah, in my case, it's some financial software that I quit using in about 1990.
Yeah.
But I still need the data file for it.
Yeah, I couldn't give you. I mean, Internet Archive is where I would start. I'd probably also spend some time on peer-to-peer sharing, like the Pirate Bay, but more specifically, like something like eMule, where you can put in terms like the Pirate Bay and such is one where somebody has to go out there and register a seed. And so somebody has to have gone out of their way to go to that service and put in a name and a description and make that seed available to the peer-to-peer networks. Whereas a peer-to-peer file sharing program like an eMule, and I'll still go to eMule from time to time. I don't have a newer version of that style software, but that style software is more similar to the old Napster or the LimeWire, where you can put in search terms and it will bring back to you sources that fit those terms. If you don't know exactly what the name should be called, then you can put in a variety of different things and see what comes back to you, for example.
Well, I haven't done a search for it in 5 years, so I ought to try it again and see what's out there these days, if anything.
Yeah, are you just like everything else though? If it's fairly niche, if it's fairly small, there's a good chance it's not out there anymore.
Right. Yeah.
The most abundant things available for peer-to-peer sharing are the things that are most popular. It's kind of a rule. Well, this has been a sort of an ad hoc beginning to this meeting, which is not uncommon. But I also have some other just top of the... Oh, look at that. I used to have this titled topics and discussions and regular things, and somehow I have erased that from this version. But that's what this is. It's not actual news items. It's just things I think are interesting for conversation. And I've added the link to the Raspberry Pi magazine archives there that Fred and I were talking about earlier, in case if you want to experiment with a Raspberry Pi and you're looking for official documentation from Raspberry Pi, their magazine is freely available as soon as it is a month old, and it doesn't look like you need an account or anything to get at it. Another thing I've put in this top conversation piece is I just want to make you aware of climate.us. This got on my radar last week with a press release that basically said I'll narrow it down for you. Since the federal government has defunded climate.gov, there's no one maintaining a repository of all the climate science that's going on out there. And these are people that were employees of climate.gov, a federally sponsored website out there to bring all the climate science data together in one place. So they, working with nonprofits, have put this together, climate.us. I don't know if you're the kind of person that would use these websites, but I did want to highlight how we're dealing with the all these changes that have occurred with the current administration, the defunding of these kinds of things. We had talked a few months back about this informal group that have taken upon themselves to archive all the information that's getting removed from the government websites. They've organized through Reddit, and they've been just storing all this information on private servers, maybe even in their own home, in their own bedroom, because they're watching data just be ripped and stripped from these government servers at the behest of our current administration and their political policies. And so this is another example, an outcrop of what happens when these things, they got defunded, and all this climate data did not have a home. And so these former federal employees have gotten organized with nonprofits and donors to put this site together so there would be a place to house all this climate science under one roof. I didn't realize how important this stuff was until I got into my voter my ranked choice voting project. One of the frustrations that I've had is that there isn't a federal location for all the ballots that are out there across the states, across these elections. And it's interesting, I mean, as an American, I get caught up in this, it's states' rights. The elections are always dictated by the states. They get to set the rules. They get to set their ballots. In fact, I get very frustrated anytime in federal government they start talking about elections, because it's none of their damn business. They have no control over it. And all they're doing is wasting air and distracting us from real federal issues that need to be dealt with. And so as a result, there isn't a repository of ballots that are going on out there on the internet. The only thing that's available, Google has control of. And Google has to suck up this information and then organize it into a federal database of ballots and electoral things that, ballot measures and judge candidates and candidates for local elections. All of that stuff is almost passively sucked up by Google because we don't have a service out there, a government service that's keeping track of this. So on the one hand, I completely understand why we don't. On the other hand, I have this great idea that I think I should be able to create and scale across local, state, and federal elections, but there isn't a repository. There isn't a standard repository to find that information other than Google. I literally had to sign up for a service that I would pay for to have access to that public information. Not because it isn't public, but because it isn't standardized across the states or federated. It's a really strange position to be in. I find myself aching for both positions. like I've never wanted the federal government to be involved in how elections happen, and at the same time, all of a sudden, I have this yearning for our ballots to at least be registered in a central repository in a standard form, so that I can make this information easily available to anyone in any state. I don't know if any. This all stems from this. There is no climate.gov anymore, but there is a climate.us that has taken on the role. And it is not a government role any longer. It's obviously a private role of people that have the same interests, saving this information and adding to it. I had some other stuff here at the top. I'm glad Richard's with it. Richard, are you monitoring us? You haven't said a word this morning, which is very strange.
did say hello to Ms. Howell and your mother, but I believe my microphone was off.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Well, welcome. I thought that you would find this, because you and I have talked about these topics a number of times. You would find this next thing interesting. Have you heard of a tool called freefilesync.org?
No.
I found this article just recently, just gushing about how sophisticated this software is, that I can't believe that it's open source. And I thought of you as I was reading it, because this is the backup solution. This is organized rsync. And it looks very similar to something like, if you remember back in the day, a program called LapLink we used to use to make backups and to synchronize computers. It's basically, it's got a source and a target graphic display. So you've got files that start out here and they're supposed to end up over here. This can be set up to mirror. So every time there's a change in this one folder, that change is reflected in this folder over here, basically creating this asynchronized backup of all your files. It supports a two-way synchronization, where you make a change on this computer's file location and that change is reflected in the other computer's file location, and vice versa. So if you've got backup file over here that's on an external device, and you've got files locally you're working on, maybe that external device is accessed by a different computer. When that changes, then it updates your local version of it, and so on. It also can be used for one-time backups, where you set a file to be or a folder to be backed up, or an entire disk to be backed up, and it pushes it all off to a target disk. And disk I use as a generalization for any storage media that it would support, including network and cloud drives. It does talk about how if you're a OneDrive user, which is supported using this type of application, or a Dropbox user, you do have to monkey around with their software to get those folders to appear in your system as a storage target, but it can be done. All of this free. It's not going to hold.
It is available in the Linux repositories.
That's right. That's why I thought you'd find it fascinating, because we've talked about backing up quite a bit, you and I. And I know that one of the default backups that we always fall back on is just standard select, copy, and drag. And this is a much more sophisticated way of doing that regularly on a schedule. You can tailor it to do things like ignore timestamps. So if everything else about the file is same, but for some reason the timestamp is off, you can tell it to ignore that kind of thing. That's just an example of the granularity of configurations you can do.
Nice.
Yeah. What I liked is that it's cross-platform. So supposedly there's a Macintosh version. I started playing with it this week, could not get it to run on the Mac. The Windows version of it runs wonderfully. And I'm really curious about the Linux version. I don't have the Linux distribution with me in Alaska. I haven't set one up. And so I'm curious, and that's why I'm throwing it to you to check out to see if it works for your needs.
Well, when I looked through the link to it and the write-up, it looks like it'd be a great program for somebody who runs a small business with their computer at work and their computer at home, and yet they trying to keep their data a little bit separate, but not total, for when the personal call comes in and they're at work. But not. For that, it really sounded great. I've been using Microsoft file history for ages. And since I partitioned my hard drive into multiple partitions based upon what the data contains and keeping the operating system stuff totally in a separate position, I do occasionally, every couple months, just a straight file copy of the whole partition, which does all the files.
Yep. Yep.
I just do a flat copy of the whole partition and off we go.
So,
But
so Dave,
needless to say, it's slow.
that
file history is doing it every time you modify it. It links it and updates it in the background constantly. You just wind up with many, many copies. But what I liked about this software is it does a very good, like keeping your traditional 5 or 3 copies of backup that are in sync.
Yeah, and what the distinction I would make is that you've got 2 different use cases there. File history is really a versioning system that can be backed up, but it's keeping track of when you make changes to documents. And I think the default is every hour it makes a backup if there's been any changes, so that you can go.
The default's 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's actually a much better number anyway. Yeah, so it looks at all the files that you've registered with copy history, and it sees if anything has changed in the last 15 minutes, and if it has, it creates a backup of that new change. So you have a progression, a history of the things that have been changed to that. Now, the other use case you had there was to do a complete backup of those drives, which I think this software is probably an ideal way to automate that for you.
Yeah, looked at.
Because this software really isn't keeping versioning in mind. That's not really the goal here.
Well, it has built-in versioning, it said, but the automation side of setting the things up automatically is totally missing. It says you have to use something like Microsoft Scheduler.
Well, the file history is very Microsoft oriented. So you have to be running a Windows operating system that is Windows 8 or newer to take advantage of the file history. And then to bring that somewhere else is convoluted. And I would say that one really good use case for this software would be, and you were talking about if you had 2 different computers, I'm thinking, how often are you working on a project that you stick on a USB drive and take it to a different work environment, or you give it to somebody else to work on? And in that scenario, you bring that, you've set up your synchronizing, your 2-way synchronizing, and you unplug your external and you hand it off to another computer. You make changes on that computer, it's saved to your external. You bring it back and plug it in. It just synchronizes all those changes over to your local.
I just realized over the years that I used to do that a lot more than I do now. I find I would make too many mistakes, like, I didn't reset that USB drive back to my main computer that I wanted to keep the data. So I just gave up on doing it and keep just trying to keep everything on one computer, being retired.
Sure. Yeah. Centralize all your data.
But for a lot of people, this sounds like really great software. And I think I'll definitely give it a try.
Yeah, I think it opens up a number of sophisticated features that you don't actually get with Microsoft Backup or with File History or with Time Machine, because there are those niche issues, just like we were just describing, like the USB drive, the external drive that needs to be kept up to date because it's going to be used somewhere else, or a cloud space.
You have to keep in mind that file history for Microsoft, it's pretty obvious that they're kind of phasing it out as it's been used. They did a major switch on it not too long ago that's very subtle, but traps you, because they no longer allow you to configure really which, let's say, directory you want to put into file history, you must now define the things to be part of, what do they call it? Let me look. That they're file where you can group multiple file directories all into a library, I guess is what they call it.
Fred, you can't do that to me. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat waiting for your next word. or David, I'm sorry, David. I'm over here. What's he going to say next? Well,
yeah, it only does libraries now. He must, as a definition.
I'm not familiar with how it's changed in my life. I have a couple of computers that just have file history on. And now that I'm thinking about it, they're all Windows 10 computers. So maybe what you're describing is something that's changed with Windows 11.
It could be, but if your file, where you could think, have you checked that it's really backing everything up? That's what happened to me. All of a sudden I realized, I lost stuff because they changed the fact that it has to be in a library.
Oh, the Windows libraries, those concepts
Right.
of collected folders that are called one thing. Right? If you're not familiar with libraries, they've been around since, I think, Windows 7. And the idea is that you define documents, and it's a documents library. And then in the definition, which is in the properties of the library, lists the folders where documents are found. And so that it's not just one folder, it's a concept of a collection of folders, and it all falls under the idea of one folder. And so they've got libraries for documents, libraries for pictures, libraries for videos, and this is integrated in your Windows operating system. Now, most people don't take advantage of it. If they ever touch libraries, they've already been predefined as those locations. You have a document folder, a physical document folder in your user account, and the library by default is pointing only to that folder. So most people that are running Windows aren't even aware of this capability. But that library of documents, not only including your local folder of documents, could also be including the documents folder on your OneDrive and the documents folder you have on an external hard drive, or the external drive itself could be all considered documents under the library. Please, Dave has, if I'm saying anything incorrect, please correct me, but that's the way I've always...
The reason it caught me is because I have multiple partitions that were in effect doing some of the functionality of a library organization, because like all my downloads of software is a whole partition, nothing else. And so I don't back that up anywhere near as often as all my data library that frequently used. And then I've got an infrequently used data library I want to keep. And then the last one is basically all the media things.
Yeah, what I like about this in concept, and I haven't taken advantage of all but I think there's a lot of granularity for specific use cases. Like say you're concerned that you're a photographer and you're only worried about photos, then you can set it up to do that synchronization with just the photos. Anything that's changed recently, and so on. If you're in those kinds of worlds, photos and videos, and the last thing you want to do is be inadvertently copying something you don't need to copy because it's so large, it's just taking capacity and time to deal with. So having I'm sorry, Dave.
A lot more people want to look at it than what they first think they should. I think it'd be very useful to people.
Yeah. Probably the only con, if we're talking about all the pros of this kind of software, the only con is that it is open source, so you are expected to figure out how to use it yourself. There are people out there using it that you can get advice from and documentation that's out there, but nothing about the software is going to hold your hand through it. What else do I have going on? I did bring a couple of news articles I thought you guys would find entertaining. The most entertaining one on this list is about sex bots. Cheryl's giving me a dirty look. Come on, it's a school district has decided, no, we're not going to buy a robot from an organization that also sells sex bots. But apparently that's what was going on. And I mean, I have stated it in the most humorous way. The headline is very humorous and attention grabbing, but it really isn't as inflammatory if you get into the article as the headlines would allow you to believe.
What's
Richard,
a
you're
sex
about
bot?
to say something. Go ahead.
What's a sex bot?
What's a sex bot? That's the computer you
No,
have in the
serious,
other room,
I'm not
Richard.
making a joke. I've never heard that term.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, sex bots are robots that have been built for sex.
Really?
You're just doing this because you want me to do a Google search.
No, seriously. I mean, I understand they're those dolls or whatever they call them.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay, it's an evolution of the doll.
Yeah, it's essentially a hyper-realistic doll that has animatronics in it.
Okay.
Yeah, and they are big in Japan. Is that the phraseology? and so this is an industry that exists. It's been going on for years. And go ahead. Yeah, Cheryl.
Well, I have a sore tongue because I've been biting it.
Oh,
But, yeah, animatronics as opposed to dolls with orifices.
oh, definitely orifices. Definitely. What would you animate except an orifice?
I mean, okay, so what?
All right, okay, to be fair, we're getting way off topic with sex bots.
No, but what? Seriously, I mean, I've heard the dolls were super expensive, so this has to be. What kind of price point are we?
No, they are not super expensive anymore. I mean, where you would think tens of thousands of dollars in the past, you're talking about thousands of dollars, if less.
Okay.
These are. Well, hold on. I'm not going to sell you a sex bot. I want to talk about.
It was the school division said we're not going to buy robots from a company that makes sex bots.
That's absolutely the article. Yes, that's what's going on. Is a school district in upstate New York had a robotics program, or they have a robotics program. And they had been one of the first school districts to actually look into buying a robot to help with its curriculum. And later, it is a bit unfortunate because it's like later the community found out that the distributors of that robot also own the sex bot robot. Wait, what's up? Are we running out of time?
Under a minute, you're going to be cut off.
Oh, we better open the next link here. In the midst of my favorite topic. Okay. Yeah, let's just switch over to the next meet here. Because it is going to get shut off. Oops, somebody's trying to get in. Got Richard. All right, it's just you and me right now, Richard. The other meeting has closed.
Sex bots, man. Who knew?
I hate to say, but I love your ignorance to the topic because it's totally a thing.
I'm not fooling around. I mean, I never heard those two words in conjunction.
Yard, you cut in and say something.
Well, and you're obviously not an Austin Powers fan.
I am an Austin, but only the first one, I guess. So I mean, this is new.
Or
technology.
Vincent Price, the girl bombs, the European comedies about the what was his name? I was just watching one of those on YouTube. Dr. Goldfeet, Dr. Goldfoot, and the girl
Goldfinger.
bombs. No, not Goldfinger. It's a play on Goldfinger because it's a comedy. It's a bit of a parody almost.
And this is Mike Myers? Who are we talking about?
No, well,
Sorry.
we were talking about Mike Myers. Mike Myers' Austin Powers has sex bots in it. But there's also these 1960s movies, European movies that starred Vincent Price as as like a Mr. Evil, like a Dr. Evil that creates sex bots called Dr. Goldfoot, I think is his name.
Okay. So, but this article talked about they're actually going to have teachers. What does it say?
Well, okay, in the article, what they describe is that it would not be a full-bodied robot. It would be a torso with arms and a features like hair and a face. I mean, it would have
A human-like AI teacher.
yeah. And so the idea is it would sit there on the desk and answer questions and well, I mean, I got to look at it from the robotics department standpoint. It's a thing that you would be able to take apart, learn how to upgrade software, learn how to install firmware, learn how to change servos and motors. This is a genuinely useful idea, and they've gotten tripped up because a parent board has said, wait a second, we're buying this from a company that also sells realistic sex bots. And if you get in...
don't you think?
What's that?
It's kind of closed-minded.
Well, and it's ignorant, too, because you've got to know from the development of the internet, sex is the reason we have so much technology. I mean, if you want to be on the cutting edge of robotics, of course you're buying a robot from a company who's also got investments in sex bots. That's how they got to this point with that company.
Right.
So it's very short-sighted for this board. They're worried about how it looks, and articles like this actually don't help that much with their inflammatory headlines. But if you get into it, this is very reasonable stuff. They want, and they're using the sex bot thing, but the union has a problem with it because the way they sold it to the board is by explaining how it could take on teaching functions.
Right. Which is a polite tease for fire a teacher.
Right. Well, that's how it's like, hey, give us this money for this robot because maybe in the future you're not going to need teachers.
Right.
But it's one thing to say that you've got this portal or whatever, and you're going to try and make it do work on. Like,
I'm sorry, Cheryl, you're breaking up for me real bad. I'm catching like one every third word.
Me too.
oh, really? What's going on?
Yeah, maybe getting closer to the microphone. It doesn't sound like closer, but maybe it'll help.
Huh.
Try again.
I'm hearing some ruffling noises in the background, but
Now I
it's
can
coming.
hear you.
You're
It's coming
perfect
from
now.
Fred. But anyways, so it's one thing to have, cadavers in a teaching hospital to work on the cadavers, and it's one thing to have a robot to work on to learn AI and technologies, but it's another thing to have a robot to replace a human.
Right.
So I can see why the union would say, wait a minute, hold it.
Yeah, and they've in typical, this is the way we do things in this world now. They're selling one story to one group and another story to another group, And they're so frustrated by not knowing what's true. They said they sell sex bots, so we can't do this.
Well, the same company that prints Playboy prints Time magazine. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems kind of,
Yeah, it seems hard to. I mean, it'd be like we're not gonna. And I'm bringing it into today world thinking. AI. We've decided not to use this AI because they work with the U.S. military. It'd be that kind of, and the reason the U.S. military works with them is because they are the most sophisticated technology. We actually, as an institute, would be lucky to have access to that kind of technology, but we're gonna make a stand and decide, no, we're purposely not going to do it. It feels like that kind of thinking.
Did you read about the AI disaster in Mexico?
Oh, enlighten us. I didn't hear of anything that's specifically Mexican.
Ours ran a story yesterday that UNAM in Mexico City, and for those who don't know, UNAM is one of the most prestigious universities in Mexico, and they ran a remote test using AI for 58,000 students. And it was a complete disaster, and they're all going to have to retake their tests.
So this is like they used AI to give finals?
They used AI, I believe it was finals, and they determined after the fact that there was massive cheating.
it's one of the things in the Mexican expat newsletter this morning.
Oh, it is.
Unfortunately, when I open it, it's only in Spanish, and I'm having a hard time trying to translate it.
There's a Technica article from yesterday, Scott.
From expat, is that what you're saying? I'm going through our evergreens here, just looking for the expat. Here's the expat.
Oh, I just tried to open it, but I can't. Where do I get it in English?
Oh, I don't want to subscribe. I thought I was in a search window. I'm just playing typical user this morning. Where is the search? There we go.
LPAIS, LPAS A50. Fraud Ulon examine. Come on, I must be able to put this in English.
Well, can you pass me the link? Because I'm not finding anything on
The
expat.
Ars article.
Oh, thank you.
An AI supervised remote exam went so badly that 58,000 students must retake it.
Wow. And you thought AI was expensive in general.
When the exam results came in, they bore little resemblance to past results, especially at the top. Between 21 and 25, 3.5% of test takers scored 100 or more. This year, 16% did. Anyway, complete disaster.
Wow.
Now, almost 58,000 applicants will have to try again in an official exam room watched by a human proctor.
Oh, that's the worst. People are actually going to have to work. They're going to have humans there.
It's okay, baby. It's all going
nobody
away
wants
next
humans
year.
involved anymore.
All this AI crap is going away next year. You watch.
Humans are so antiquated. I can't believe they're forced to do that. I'm being facetious, that's all. I'm putting your link in our lineup of news here so other people can take a look at it. Nate Anderson published this on Ars Technica.
Up to 190,000 people.
Say that again, Cheryl?
Well, I'm just reading the one that I put in the thing. It's the one from the expats.
Oh, did you get an English version of it?
Yeah, I went to Google or opened it in Chrome and it translated it for me.
Oh, of course,
But,
yeah.
but every summer, up to 190,000 people compete for a place in the 133 undergraduate programs.
And now they're doing it again.
And barely 3% scored above 100 out of 120 questions. So this time the figure jumped to 16%. So that's when they started looking into it, was because of the increase in the number of people that did well. Suspicions of fraud.
So, somebody mentioned cheating. Was that the case? Was it cheating?
Yes. Because that's how you go from a few percent,
Yeah,
very
from 3 to 16.
single digits to 16.5% scoring those high scores. Everybody didn't get 5 times brighter overnight.
So I'm curious how the cheating happened.
I'm just trying to get to that, but once the scandal broke, the dissatisfied have divided into two camps: those demanding a new paper and pencil version of the exam, and those calling for the results to be respected.
If you go to the R's comments, you will see a vast number of comments relating to how a person would cheat on an AI administered remote exam.
Yeah.
Lots of ideas, Scott.
Yeah. Do you think the test itself was like, what do you call it? Like they were doing it on their own honor, like the honor system. Do you think that's what was going on? Like they're in their own home taking the test digitally? Because that's an easy test of whether AI is involved or not. That's an easy test to cheat on.
Well, they're looking to see whether the error was the fault of the contracted company or the educational institution, whether the vulnerability existed during the process or was due to a prior leak of answers.
Wasn't due to a prior leak of answers. No way.
High stakes this game, blah, blah, blah. What measures will be taken?
Well, I definitely had not heard about this, but it is a very interesting topic. I'm just curious, just going back to sex bots for a second, if this is an article that is including AI, but actually the problem isn't an AI problem. It's including sex bots, but sex bots aren't really the problem.
Well, see, I'm not sure that it even says AI in this article.
Oh, I did see it.
The entrance exam scandal. And it's talking about the process of doing them remotely and all over the place as opposed to coming into one central location.
Yeah, I
Suspected
wonder if
widespread
the AI portion of this is just organizing results coming from a dozen different locations.
Yeah, no, basically everything I'm reading doesn't mention AI. It just talks about, there's widespread cheating during the online. Is the first time they've done this online entrance exam?
Yeah, well, right here, it's the accusations focus on the use of AI, although the circumvention of the system could also have involved methods as rudimentary as prohibited study materials, receiving outside help, improper accessing exam. This reads like they want to attack AI, which I'm not saying that it doesn't deserve to be attacked. We've definitely seen all kinds of examples where it's not.
Plus, this miserable thing required that you install the lockdown browser from Respondus. I've never heard of it.
Yuck.
So, and the lockdown browser is nothing other than spyware. So you're forcing the kids to install spyware on their computer.
Yeah, actually, now that you, as we're sussing this out, it sounds like this is a failure on many different parts. It sounds like ripe to have had a problem. Well, that is fascinating. I'm curious what's going to happen in at that end.
I think one thing that's going to happen is the company that provided this service is going to have a very difficult time collecting their final payment.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I bet that's going to happen. And if there's still a company after, that's the frustration with these kinds of things, is that it could be a failure of the way that they monitored how the tests were being taken. It could be a failure in the way information restriction was being used. And it seems like just in that one article, we read a half a dozen things that could have been a failure, but they're attacking the AI portion of it. That these claims are all accusing the AI as being the relevant problem with what they put together. And so this organization, it actually might, we don't know, it might actually be I hate to use the word good. What would effective? Maybe effective is it might be an effective way of doing testing, but the way that it was executed in this circumstance led to all these problems. That organization just might shrivel up and die on all the bad news because of their AI.
Oh, sure, they'll walk away from it.
Yeah.
So also in the expat Mexico thing today, is Mexico's big push to go cash.
Excuse me, folks.
I'm muting you there. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Mexico's big push to go cashless, and I'm just kind of looking at a couple of things. The biggest recent developments. We've been hearing about the tolls. They say tolls and gas stations. The federal government plans to require digital payments at all federal highway toll booths and gas stations by the end of 2026.
Cool.
Drivers will be able to pay with bank cards, electronic transfers, or DMO, Banzexo's mobile payment platform. Have we ever heard of DMO? Do you guys know this?
I'm not familiar with it. Do you have that link with you? Can you drop that in our chat?
Okay, because it says CODI, which is CODI, which stands for Cobro Digital, lets you make instant payments using QR codes with no transaction fees.
That's interesting. That's the way that Walmart's system works, is making payments through QR codes.
Here, I'm just putting it in for you.
Oh, great.
Copy. Working on my phone and my thing at the same time. Where am I? In-call messages. Paste. Okay, there's the link to the one that I'm looking at.
Okay. Bringing this up.
Here are some of the biggest recent developments. CODI and DMO. These are the two different ways you can make payments. DIMO stands for Dinero Móvil. Allows you to send money using only a recipient's mobile phone number.
Oh, wow.
Banxico. Banxico. How do you say that? Banico.
Are you listening to our discussion here? Are you familiar with this? The CODI and the DMO for making payments?
All banks to simplify their apps and standardize their services.
Every what? At the toll booth. Every toll booth is advertising this.
A DMO, yeah.
Do you believe that we're going to reach a point in the near future where everybody's going to have these services to use the toll booths? Thank you. Thank you. I know you guys can't hear Yuya's opinion, but it's absolutely what I was going to say is this is never going to happen at the toll booths.
Oh,
It's just never going to happen because the culture of Mexico is there's just too many people that are not digital. They want to collect the money, so they are always going to have a cash system.
okay, because the federal government plans to require digital payments by the end
The federal
of
government does that
2026.
stuff all the time. They had requirements for us to register our phones 15 years ago, and they've only this year finally put together something people will follow.
Bank of Mexico.
They've done this before. The biggest problem in Mexico is enforcement, not laws. This will not be enforced at the toll booths as long as there's still an older generation that may not even own a cell phone. This won't be enforced we'll have dramatic changes in the culture long before this will happen at the toll booth. It'll be dramatic changes in the culture, like in the United States, we're not printing pennies anymore. It'll be that kind of cultural shift that will have to happen. Go ahead, Cheryl.
No pennies in Canada for about 8 years.
Right?
We haven't had pennies in Canada for a long time now. We still play games with them, but they're not official currency anymore. So, yeah. Hi, Yuya.
Hi, Cheryl.
She's in Alaska.
She is. She's about ready to make her way back.
She's cooler.
It's been cold and wet here for many days.
Well, we had a pancake breakfast this morning that got delayed from when it was supposed to happen in Stampede Week at the beginning of July. And it was 5 degrees Celsius when the guys were putting the tables out at 7:30. And it only went up to about 10 or 11 by the time we were cooking pancakes. It was chilly morning.
Yeah, it's been cold all summer here.
No, not here. We were 37 degrees on Saturday and 24 on Sunday. We dropped overnight on Saturday, and now we're climbing back up. We're going to be mid-30s.
Geez, 24 even sounds hot. I think we're at like 16.
Oh, really? Oh.
I'm looking at the fireweed, and by this time, it seems like it's closer to the top, but it's only about halfway up. So maybe we'll have a long autumn. I don't know.
What Mom's referring to is the way to judge when the snow's coming.
Yeah, you look at see where the bloom goes to and which still closed buds.
Yeah.
Being from the north, I'm familiar with that term.
Fireweed determines when the snow's coming.
Yeah. Well, all I know is that our airline that was on strike, because we're flying off to Vegas on Sunday with our granddaughters, taking them to Wizard of Oz and to a Cirque du Soleil, and our airline was on strike over the long weekend for 43 hours. The strike was pretty short, but it still messed up everything for a lot of people.
When will you go now?
We're going on Sunday. Next Sunday we'll be good to go. Yeah, just a 3-nighter kind of thing.
That's wonderful. Have a good time.
Hey, going back to your electronic payment topic, what was Cody was one of them. What was the other one?
DIMO.
Okay.
Capital DI. It's called Dinero Móvil. MOVIL.
In Mexico, all major commercial banks support Cody, while a growing selection of 20 plus major banks and fintech institutes officially support DIMO. Dinero Móvil.
They make the distinction that the Dinero Móvil, DIMO, is for recipients' mobile phone number is all you need to send money.
Now, it's amazing how much more sophisticated the rest of the world is getting with this stuff, and the United States is just kind of floundering with it.
And the United States fees are ridiculous. like I've gotten rid of my PayPal. I'm using Wise instead. But PayPal and anytime I try to do anything with the US banks, there's $50 here for a wire fee. There's $15 there. It's just awful.
So I'm looking at an AI generated list that says that Santander, BBVA, Citibank, Bancnorte, HSBC, Scotiabank, Inburst, Banco Azteca are all supporting these cashless payment systems.
Well, don't forget that they've had the transponders available for about a year at the toll booths, and there was a big push to have that. And from what I heard from people, is that this new announcement is just another extension of the same that allows you to use, rather than a transponder, just to pay with your cell phone easily.
Yeah, it's just more a progression. And if they set it as a federal law, then there's a better chance they're going to get it to be everywhere. But as far as the not taking cash, that's inconceivable given Mexican culture. It just doesn't seem like that would ever happen.
And they said that last year about the having to have a transponder, that died real quickly.
Yeah. It's when legislation butts up against reality. It'll move us closer to the goal, but there's not going to be enough enforcement for it to take over. We will still be able to do the old way for a long time, I'm certain. All based on opinion.
Yours.
Let's see. We're like a half hour over our hour. Is there anything else I feel like I need to share with you guys before we call it? I'm looking through my list here. Thank you guys for bringing some real interesting topics that I did not have with me. I had some silly stuff with me that I thought you might find interesting. There's an article here talking about how Walmart is going to stop selling Roku TVs that are branded On. Mom, you have one of those On Roku TVs down in Arizona. They have decided to go with the Google TV, Android TV software. And so it's one of the reasons that you can go into Walmart in the States right now and buy a 65-inch TV for $200 is because it's a Roku-based TV, and they're getting rid of all that inventory under their house brand ONN, their On brand. And future TVs will be the Google TV instead of Roku TV.
Well, we had a Costco TV and it was Roku. And I didn't understand what the hell that meant. And I never used any of the Roku channels or anything. I just used it as a smart TV and hooked my cable to it, and away we went. But now we've got the Fire TV, and we quite like it. When the Roku died in a lightning strike, where the lightning did this thing, it took out the cable box, it took out the TV, it took out something else. I can't think what it was, but when we replaced it with this Fire TV, and it's been pretty good. We were having a few issues with it, and I connected with somebody somewhere at India, and they rebooted it and changed things around, and I've gone into the settings and changed that thing that it was doing.
Right, where it was preloading videos and audio, and it was causing a performance drop.
Yeah, so that when you pushed play, it took a few seconds, or when you pushed pause or whatever. Yeah, so I got that kind of cleaned up, and I've been happy with the Fire TV ever since. So I'm not understanding what the Google based will be.
Well, it's what it is. It's just licensing agreements. What's a cheaper operating system? What they think that their customers are going to like. We were recommending that On 4K Plus for a streaming device to add to your screen. And what Walmart has discovered is how very popular those Google TVs are versus the Roku TVs. And so what they have a house brand. It needs an operating system to drive it. And so they're just choosing to license it with Google TV instead of Roku. It's significant in that it affects the way we consume these devices. Like I was saying, you can get a really cheap Roku TV that's an on TV right now because they're trying to get it out of their inventories. They also own Vizio. And in this article, it wasn't very clear to me if they're going to use the Vizio name brand or the Vizio operating system. Because they have access to both. They can use the on in-house brand and they can use the Vizio brand because they own it. Vizio comes with its own software distribution, whereas the Google TV is a fork of Android. It is an open source fork of Android that is licensed with Google to take Google features and put them on your TV. I find all of this just really disparaging because I don't want to have to buy a TV that has any of this crap in it. I just want a monitor that I can add my own crap to, and they still haven't done that yet. Another bill of digital rights. I just want an appliance that acts as a display. I don't want all this other crap with it. It should function as a display, regardless of whether I bought all this other crap with it. But nobody's really offering that unless you get into computer monitors, and then you pay a premium for that computer monitor because it doesn't have all this crap in it. And all this crap is based on licensing agreements for advertising platforms and data collection. That is what Walmart is most concerned about here, is the revenue stream from selling your data to advertisers. That's where all these companies are making the most money right now, is they're all in the data broker business, which in my opinion should be illegal. There are countries out there that have made it illegal. The European Union has made it very difficult for these businesses. But our country has just opened the gates for the data broker business. If anything, we've set up laws to make it easier to collect your information and sell it for profit. And that's what all this is about. This is just about Google keeping you happy enough to buy their products, or not Google, but Walmart keeping you happy enough to buy their products at the price they're selling them so they can continue this data broker business that they've got going on. You won't find that in the article. And I thought I brought one other thing I thought you'd find interesting. Oh, yeah. Roku. Speaking of Roku, Roku added 4 new channels. If all of this stuff really leaves me perplexed in my opinions and the way I feel about technology and how it's progressing, if you're not aware, Roku is getting bought by Fox. Not the Fox that was sold to Disney, but the other Fox, the Rupert Murdoch Fox, the news conglomerates. So Roku announcing 4 new channels is an interesting thing because Roku, up till recently, I felt like had one of the best free TV offerings. And it's one of the things that makes buying a TV more convenient for a traditional experience is the Roku TV that you buy, you plug it in, hook it up to internet, all of a sudden you have 300 channels free to watch. You don't need anything but an internet connection. I think that is a call back to how you used to go buy a TV. You go buy a big set and you'd set it up in your living room and you connect it to your cable box or you connect it to your TV set, and immediately you have entertainment available to you. When we got into these smart TVs, then you were always having to bring something to them or subscribing to services off of them. But what I hated was the setup and first user experience was typically you did not have TV. Typically, you brought it home, took it out of the box, spent an amount of time getting it connected to the internet, and then an amount of time downloading the apps that you used, and then amount of time setting up those apps that you use. For somebody that just wanted to plug in a TV and go, it was a very frustrating experience. And I felt like Roku was the one that had gotten closer to that set. It's still not perfect, still not hook up an antenna and watch TV, but it was put in your Wi-Fi password, now you have TV. It was just about as simple as that original TV experience. Now Fox is going to own them. I'm not a big fat Fox supporter. Yeah, that's not where I don't like the idea that if I were to buy Roku content or devices, that would flow into the coffers of the Fox finance family. I don't.
So you said something about Fox, that Disney, and then Fox News.
Yeah, two different things.
Okay, because I've seen things that are, produced by Fox. Maybe I've seen them on different stuff, and I've kind of watched them, but I didn't know that there was a difference.
Yeah, Disney bought 20th Century Fox Studios.
20th Century Fox Studios.
And when they did that, the Murdochs separated the news empire.
So Fox News is different than Century. What do you call it?
20th Century Fox.
Yeah, because okay, that makes more sense to me because it's movies and it's series and things.
Yeah, and Fox Spotlight is Disney, and Fox FX I think is also Disney.
Now the other thing with the Roku TV that we bought.
Yes.
All I had to do was hook it up to my internet, but they were okay. There was ABC, there was CBS, there was the different ones, and then I could get our Canadian networks, but it wasn't actual TV that it was streaming. It was more like it was an online that I was looking at.
Well, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, so instead of watching MSNBC TV shows or news shows, you're watching the ones that they put out on their website.
Yeah. Well, and their extended content, because Roku has licensing agreements with those producers. So their collection of channels has just grown and become much more robust than when you first got that Roku TV. And a lot of these, like Plex, Pluto TV, these things started out feeling like a collection of free videos that are available through YouTube and through websites that are out there. But it's gone much more, it's surpassed that quite a bit.
There's no such thing as like your TV guide, something easy to see what's on what stream. And I found it very frustrating that I didn't know where to find what I wanted to watch.
I would say that we reached that frustration long before internet channels. We had 300 cable and satellite channels, and regardless of the guide they gave it to you, you could not figure out where something was playing. Was it channel 305 or channel 6?
And when I grew up, we had channel 2 and we had channel 4.
That's right.
And you had to walk across the room to change it.
Yeah.
So yes, there we go.
Yeah.
And,
So all I'm describing is an experience that was lost when we were moving to smart screens from cable services and satellite services. And now that has become so much more robust because the same advertising model. You have this huge collection of content that's available 24/7 that's rolling, and what's paying for it is the advertising that goes alongside it. There really is very little difference from your TV viewing standpoint from that cable subscription, or probably better yet, the TV channels in your local area being broadcast over the air. There's very little difference, much more content, but the experience you're having as a TV viewer is very similar to that original experience. You deal with a dozen commercials and then go back to the program that was rolling. There's no rewind, there's no fast forward, there's no right? And that's been a very successful model. And the difference is it's not coming over the air, it's coming through your internet connection. But it's almost the same experience.
Yeah.
And again, I don't like the idea of buying a Roku device and giving it to the Ruperts, that money. It's just like that in itself is pushing me away from the Roku model. I vote with your dollars and all that.
Yeah, well, what I know is that our Wi-Fi bundled with our home phone line and our TV box, which I highly question is actually a cable box. It's just a
Oh, it's doing the same thing. It's just streaming.
yes,
Yeah.
it's just streaming. Yeah. Anyways, for
I mean, that's all your
one,
cable box was doing, but it was a proprietary
yeah,
way
but
of
it was
streaming.
a VPN and it was a different thing. But anyways, and it worked a hell of a lot better than this.
Mhm.
And it's $200 a friggin' month, and it's expensive, and we don't get a lot of satisfaction or anything out of it because the internet is bleeping, and yeah, it's not fun.
I think that's really where this is just caught on, this idea that because there's so many of us that have very limited budgets for this kind of stuff, you got to pay for your internet connection to begin with. So if you've already paid for that, how can you get TV into your life without having to subscribe and pay another monthly fee? These portals are the way to do it. Plex, Pluto. I think Pluto's owned by Paramount now. Yeah. Plex is another one that I think is owned by a big media company. They're not small endeavors any longer, and they have very professional content distribution now. Right, Richard, are you trying to say something? You keep popping up here, or are you just making noise on your
sir.
end? Oh, okay. Are you? There's just audio coming from your end. I'm not sure if you're trying to talk to us or not.
I'll turn that off then.
Well, anyway, yeah, so I find it interesting. And Mad TV is one of the channels, so I like that idea, that there's a channel dedicated to the Mad TV series. And that you see a lot of that, too. You find the Law and Order channel. You find the I Love Lucy channel. That? No, you don't pay anything for that.
Pluto is not paid. Oh,
yeah, okay. Pluto. And like Roku, if it came in your TV, you don't even need an account. You can just be a guest. They're tracking guest information. Yeah, Pluto's a very similar. Plex, you have to have an account. But Pluto, you don't need to have an account for.
I'm dying for us to get to recommend.
Stuart, no. No, I haven't. And let's just say we're going to recommendations. Let's see, what's my last thing here? That was my last thing. Let's go to recommendations. What is Stuart?
Remember?
Oh, Stuart Saves the World. Saves the universe. What do you think of it?
Oh, we love it. And we just... Anyways, different. That's just.
We love The Big Bang. I think we've watched every episode of it.
Yeah, we've been. It's called.
I think I found it here, even though I spelled it wrong.
Basically, he was investigating.
Oh, it's got good ratings.
it,
I'm sorry, I had a robot at my foot. And I'm like, why are you cleaning right now? I'm in computer club. So I just sent it home. Well, great. So you would recommend what you're watching here? Oh, it's got 4 seasons. It's been around a while.
I'm just.
It's
Oh, you know what? Only had. It was strange.
oh, it's British. They do that a lot, don't they? Yeah, they have very short seasons. Like a 6-episode season or a 4. You remember Sherlock was like that. I think you guys watched Sherlock with Cumberbatch, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Martin, what's his name, the Hobbit, Martin Freeman. I think that's right. I mean, if you're not familiar with Sherlock, you definitely should watch it. It's awesome. They have I think about 5 seasons, and it's really intelligently done. It's good entertainment. Each episode is like its own movie. And it's about an hour and a half long each episode. I'm trying to get to a Google so I didn't come here to, yeah, over a 7-year period. They must have like 7 seasons, or at least 6. But if you haven't watched Sherlock, that is definitely a great watch. Sherlock.
I'm watching it on Prime.
I'm on Just Watch for Sherlock, and that's interesting. It is not on Netflix. It's on Prime, but you gotta buy it. Unless you've signed up for the free 30 days, then you can watch it.
Oh, but it,
You know what? Maybe that is what it's trying to tell me. It's something weird about.
well, sometimes in Prime.
Well, Just Watch definitely says it's available with Amazon Prime Video. But it also says if you want to watch it for free, then you've got to do the 30-day free trial. So I think what you're saying is, I think that's what they're saying, is that if you're a Prime member, you can watch it. Yeah. And if you're not a Prime member, the only way to watch it for free is to sign up for the 30-day free Prime special. I think that's what that's about. Cool. Do we have any other recommendations? Because we're way over our hour. Anybody else would like to add anything to our recommendations list? I've still got some stuff here left over from last week that I didn't pull off, mostly because I wanted to look more into it. Good Fortune is one we've mentioned before, so I'm going to take that off of our list. But I think I'm going to... Android, I wanted to take a look at. Remarkably Bright Creatures, I haven't watched yet. And Japanese Story. Who recommended this? Was this Richard?
Richard.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave that on because I know nothing about it. And I'm... I was going to say, when you mentioned this last week, I didn't realize she was one of the main actors. That's enough there to want to watch it. Oh, yeah.
One is actually very good. Can't hear you, dear.
Or your microphone.
Well, I was hoping
Really good. Easily. Beautifully.
Hey, going back to About a Boy, am I looking at the right movie here? Okay, cool.
And actually, boy.
Yep.
Is
Oh, really?
on that video. Movies 30 years. So
All right. And Jury Number 2 is the other movie that you were talking about. I haven't heard of either of these movies. Juror. Okay, hold on. You can watch me misspell it. I don't see a search on this one, so I'll just go back. Oh, this is a very recent movie. Wow, this has got great ratings as well. Jury Number 2. Directed by Clint Eastwood. I do not believe I've watched this. I'm going to put that on my list too. Didn't spell that right. Well, cool. Is there any other things we should add to our list? It's Richard, Fred, Cheryl, Mom, myself. I have nothing more to add. Does anybody have anything else to add before we call this meeting to an end? Hey guys. Well, I'm almost done. Anything else? Can we call this to a close until next Tuesday? Everybody.
in Vegas experience.
What? You're a pivotal part of this meeting. You can't just disappear.
Sorry. Computer club. Anyway.
All right. See you, Cheryl. Have a good time.
have a good one.
All right, Fred. You guys tech on until next Tuesday. We'll see you later. Here we go. Hi, Mom. Oh, she thought I said hi and I was saying goodbye. Sorry, Mom. Didn't mean to just hang up on you like that. Yeah. Anyway, that was the San Carlos Computer Club. I am Scott Stimson at International Computer Solutions. I do remote IT work and help people both privately and in large organizations. If I can help you, reach out to me, Scott at internationalcs.net. If you like what we did here, you can check out our website, scclub.org. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and most of that stuff just links back to these YouTube videos that we do each Tuesday at 10 Arizona Sonoran time, because we're all tied to San Carlos, Sonora in some way. Until next Tuesday,